Hello, everybody. I'm Dane Fredrickson. I'm a video strategy and production expert, and today I'm going to be talking with Stacy Thal, who is a creative strategist, among other things. Um, Welcome, Stacy, and I'll let you kind of introduce yourself too. Like, what do we need to know about you?
Yeah, thank you so much. What do you need to know about me? Well, I'm a brand and creative strategist. What does that mean today? Who knows? Hashtag AI, all of that. I'm one of the human overlords that's trying to, bridge the gap between AI and authenticity based on lived experience in many years as a brand director and creative director in the crazy, volatile, competitive world of Silicon Valley marketing and advertising.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen a lot of things happen. Since the dot com, and now we're kind of reliving another one of those eras. It's going to be a crazy ride here. It already is, but I think it's about to get even crazier.
Every day,
Yeah,
there's something new, someone new, some new offering, some new advancement, and a whole bunch of gold rush akin kind of whatever charlatans as well,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. The
So
interest.
in that zoo of an existence, how do we approach strategy? Things are changing all the time. Like, how does the conversation kind of typically start with a company, and when you're like kind of starting to work with them, how does it begin?
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, the old playbook is gone, and things are escalating exponentially every day. And so I think the conversation is changing and is getting very particular. Everybody, of course, is talking about AI, especially when it comes to effectiveness and efficiencies in like for people with lean budgets or whatever, lean teams. And so a strategy for me is about bringing in those efficiencies available to us now in the ways that startups and others can now afford to do market research, focus groups, and all those things with synthetic personas that you used to have to throw tons of money at, that you can do easily these days to bolster the kind of strategy that I do around brand and creative to make
Yeah.
sure that you're connecting the dots between founder and investor vision and ambition and what the end user customer all that really wants, what they really need, what they're going to respond to and
Hmm.
hook into. And so I think for me with strategy it's about it depends now, right? Because I have clients who are like like we are drawing the moral line and we believe in humans and we are not using AI, and others are that is all you get. I do not have designers, I do not have copywriters, set it up for me so that we can appeal to our customers on all the different platforms, channels, verticals, and that's it. Like you get the robot. It's the robot and you, and let's see what we can do, right? So it
Yeah.
just depends,
Yeah.
and the
This.
conversation is changing every day.
Yeah. And the themes that I just keep hearing and thinking about so much is like, yeah, we're gonna use AI, but we also need to have humans too, both as customers, employees, robot overlords. Like there has to be a place for all of this. I mean, these people are not gonna be deleted, right? Hopefully, they're still gonna be around. So like, how does this all fit
People.
together?
I don't know which people are going to be around. I mean, the end users are going to be around for now. The robots are not yet our customers. I imagine that will happen at some point.
Yeah.
But for now, yes, humans, B2B, B2C are our customers. Doesn't matter, either one. Um, so yeah, I think that that's my job, and I kind of love it. It's an interesting for somebody that grew up with rotary phones.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a
Yeah.
fascinating, terrifying, wonderful time
Yeah.
to be alive and to be a professional working in this space. I Some years ago, I was embedded at Google for years through an agency and was tapped because of my background in copywriting. I was working on Google Store then, and as one of the senior leadership there on creative, and I was tapped by Google period global to be part of their conversation design team for the Google Assistant, which is now Gemini. And so I
Hmm.
fell in love with AI and LM then, and gratefully got exposed to that world, and have been since then ringing the bell for all of my startup and investor clients over time of like, we've got to, get this technology and that can really create bespoke assistance for this
Yeah.
wellness product that you have and things like that. But nobody was on board until whatever it was, 18 months ago, and then now that's all you're hearing. So for
Yeah.
me, it's gratefully nothing new. I'm glad to have the runway that I have with it, the familiarity that I have, and the interest that I have. So it's not something that I'm, forcing in.
Yeah.
Um, so strategy really is about bringing that lived experience of and human nuance, right? And then enlisting AI as a fantastic, um, idiotic intern to do some of the grunt work
Yeah.
to get us there quicker, right? Without a bunch of, people power. But then it still needs to be, sold in, bought into by the folks that are going to invest in whatever the things are, a
Yeah.
website, update, launching, pivoting, growing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, that go between, the real high level expertise of the go between to be able to translate between what AI is telling us, to connect the dots with what the customer needs strategically, and to be able to communicate all of that, to the C-suite, that are going to put money behind it is still important. And people are really nervous still about, do we
Yeah.
trust AI? I don't know, so
Yeah.
that's where I can come in and say, it's not just AI, it's me, it's my time at Google, Walmart, Yahoo, dozens of startups,
Yeah.
that I can make the case,
Yeah.
if I believe in it.
Yeah. Well, I want to get your perspective on the sort of transformation nature of this, but first I want to like kind of look back at the .com transformation. And the way I've been thinking about this is like there was a world where websites were new and all the companies had to be like, wait, do we need a website? And like they didn't have one, and then they went through the transformation of deciding they needed one, and then they had to work in a website strategy, right? They needed to figure out who owns the website. Is it IT? Is it marketing? There's like this strategic layer they had to put on
Mhm.
top of an already existing business strategy, marketing strategy, maybe a content strategy. I kind of think of it like a pyramid, right? And so like then on top of that, you got to put a website strategy. And then now we're like, now you got to put an AI strategy on top of that. And what I've been selling is video strategy, because everyone's talking about AI, but they're also kind of talking about video, or they're using video to talk about AI. And so that's another thing that's happening as a transformation for B2B, especially. B2C is already, pretty invested in the, influencers and all that stuff. But for B2C, they're starting to embrace, we need to do more video. We need to be thinking about this. We need to have a video strategy. So how do I, as a video strategist, or you as an AI strategist, pop that strategy on top of an already existing thing, right?
Well, I think it's about the upfront argument that is always is fascinating to me, that B2C, right? The C being the consumer, B2B still have consumers on the other end, right?
Yeah,
People forget that it's humans, and it's not just about what humans are seeing out there or what the competition is doing. It's what they are being exposed to day in, day out as decision makers in their own lives, professional and personal. And it is all video. We have no excuse anymore not to have a moving image. And because um, most, for better for worse, mostly for worse, our attention spans as
yeah,
a species are shrinking by the day. Video is the only way to go. If you can, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is worth a lot more than that, and certainly worth the cost, the investment in doing it.
yeah. And so when you've talked to companies about adding strategies on that weren't there, like let's say in the .com era, how do you dovetail a website strategy with an existing business strategy?
Right? You're talking about these days about AI.
Yeah, because we're having the same problem that already happened like 25 years ago. That .com transformation. Now we're doing the same thing with video and also with AI. It's like we're still the company. We still got to show up to work and do the same things we were already doing, right? We still have existing marketing channels, activities, whatever you're spending your time on. But now you've got to like throw a website in the mix, or AI, or
Yeah.
video.
Well, I think let's try not to make the same mistakes that we made back then when people just had websites and it was like the equivalent of everybody had to, in business, everybody had to have a business card to let people know,
Yeah.
and then websites came up. But if you don't, it's like hanging out a shingle inside the door of your business if you're not telling people about it, right? And so I think
Mhm.
that the issue was, as I remember it, because I was around then, is that people were like, oh God, we got to have this thing called a website. And they had it like it was their business card that you would have in a box for years that would create, collect dust, never changing. But now that this is not the case with AI, but I think that people are feeling a lot of pressure to be like, how can we use it? What it sounds like we need to use it. Everybody else is using it. And I think, for folks like us that are selling strategy or specific products that buy into a company's strategy is is ROI, right? It comes down to the dollars, is to be able to prove
Mhm.
why and how this is going to connect the dots again between whatever your KPIs are, goals, whatever ambitions are, what your
Yeah.
customer needs. So to know your customer really well, to know their customer, you, Dane, know their customer really well, and to make the argument of how video in particular, in your case, helps to connect those dots because these customers are these end users or whatever. This is what your competition is doing. These are where your end users are looking, and how that video can be a more quickly effective way to telegraph their message.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think that, it can, if you can, and these are the sort of amorphous things until you test them, especially if it's something on the website. Um, the more that you can speak to ROI, the better. That's
Yeah.
everybody might not speak AI, but they speak ROI for sure.
Right. Right. There you go. Okay. So I want to, as we wrap up here, I want to just kind of get a closing thought from you about that kind of thing you talked about in the beginning of like, it's the Wild West right now. It's a gold rush. Everybody's like, what do I do? They're freaking out. Like, do you have any words of wisdom or like advice of how do we move forward with building a good strategy in a world that's changing so fast and so unclear?
Yeah, I think two things. I think one is take a beat. Don't believe the hype. There's a lot of churn happening right now, and I know that, beyond the go-to-market pressures, now there's this golden key that everybody feels like they have, especially startups that I work with, where like, oh, we have the answer now. We do not need to have a bunch of head count. But
Mm-hmm.
how do we integrate these things, and which ones do we trust, and what do we employ, and which key um, whatever staff members, employees do we get that can be the human overlords at this point? While all of the, or is it about a bunch of outside vendors, and then the cost escalates? And what's that against hiring
Yeah.
somebody, right? So
Yeah.
I think take a beat, but rather than get enamored with the shiny object of AI for AI's sake, is to take a beat and really look at who is your customer and what can we do most effectively and efficiently to reach them and keep them, right? Whatever the end user is, whatever the customer
Mm-hmm.
is just to take a pause and find ways that you can do those things efficiently. And I don't know, yet. It's getting there, but I don't know that the creative aspect of things, is quite there yet. How
Right.
many fingers can our supposed,
Yeah.
influencers have?
Yeah.
So we're getting there and getting there quickly, and maybe there by the end of the day, like
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
are morphing, evolving quickly. But I think it's about taking a pause and thinking about AI as a team member and not as a replacement,
Yeah.
is important because it can bring all sorts of effectiveness, efficiencies, and revolutionize some of the ways in which businesses have been looking at their P&L, right?
Yeah.
But still need to connect with your customers. So how is
Yeah.
that going to happen without putting everybody off because it all goes to the robots?
Right. Well, that's some great advice. Stacy, it's been really great talking with you. Thanks for sharing your insights. And if people want to find you, I imagine they can find you on your LinkedIn profile, right?
Yeah, Stacy Thal, that's me.
Okay.
All
Thanks
right.
again, Stacy. All
Same.
right. Take care.